Even as we speak, there is breaking news coming in. In news just coming in, there has been a terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir on the outskirts of Srinagar. This is the latest that's coming in. Terrorists have hit out at a convoy, and in this convoy attack, they've injured some soldiers. The soldiers have fired back. Apparently, this was an attack not far from the CRPF location on the outskirts of Srinagar. Shujaul Haq joins us with the latest. Shuja, what more can you tell us about the terror strike on the outskirts of Srinagar?
Well, Gaurav, the attack has taken place around 7:30, in the evening. What we're gathering from the sources is that this SSB party was withdrawing. They were on a law and order duty, and they were withdrawing at that point of time when they came under fire. A few gunshots were, fired at them, and the SSB party retaliated as well. Now we are getting to learn that, close to 7 SSB Jawans have been injured, but thankfully most of them have minor injuries. The entire area has been cordoned off. It looks like that the militants took the advantage of darkness and they escaped from the spot. But Gaurav, remember, that comes at a time when there is a heightened sense of alert among the security forces, both the army and the paramilitary as well as the police, with regards to possibilities of such attacks taking place. It started all from the Uri attack, and after the announcement of surgical strikes by India across the line of control, there have been specific inputs that militants might want to target the security force installations or the forces on duties. So that is the sense in the background of it. Now at this point of time we are being told that searches are being carried out, but the fact that it is dark and it is an area which is very, very sensitive, that perhaps might have gone in the advantage of the militants who perhaps may have run away from the spot.
Okay. Keep tracking that story, Shuja. I will come back to you for more. For the moment, Shuja Ulhaq in Srinagar, many thanks. It was an SSB team that came under fire of these terrorists. Operations to flush them out are underway. Shuja will track that story. I now want to shift focus so that people understand why there is so much anger against Pakistan-sponsored terror in this country. We will talk about India's diplomatic offensive, but this is a people-driven anger that is coming out on the streets. In Mumbai, it's the Cinema Theatre Owners Association. They are saying we will not show, and especially these are single owners, single movie theatres. They're saying we will not show any movie with a Pakistani actor in it. Will Bollywood finally get the message? Take a look.
Clearly rattled by the MNS's open threat of violence, has announced that films starring Pak actors will not be screened in their theatre.
It is a decision of the executive committee and the members of the association to not screen the pictures, taking into account the sentiments of the country and the patriotism felt by the public. And we are with...
The MNS wasn't alone. Several other political bigwigs too backed the decision.
जो वर्क परमिट या वीजा मांगते हैं, ऐसे हिंदुस्तानी फिल्म में काम करने वाले पाकिस्तानी कलाकारों को वर्क परमिट या वीजा न दिया जाए, इस प्रकार का निवेदन हमने माननीय मंत्री जी को भेजा.
And even as some in Bollywood bat for Pakistan, there is a brave Indian soldier in Pakistan's custody. A young soldier of the Indian Army, Chandu Chavan, on the night of 28th and 29th of September, when the surgical strikes were on, in another sector, he wasn't involved in the surgical strikes, in another sector, he was patrolling the line of control. He inadvertently strayed across, he was taken prisoner. It took Pakistan a fortnight to even acknowledge that he is in their custody. His grandmother passed away in pain, in agony while waiting for Chandu. Now the family says, we will only immerse her ashes when he returns home. Is Pakistan listening?
As Chandu Chauhan of the 37 Rashtriya Rifles Battalion is being probed in Pakistan, his worried family pray for their son to come back home safe and soon.
28 तारीख को रात को जैसे डेली हम बात करते थे क्या चल रहा है क्या नहीं चल रहा है घर में परिवार में सब ठीक ठाक है बस यही बातें हुई हमारी, और उससे तो ऐसे कुछ लगा नहीं, वो नॉर्मली बात किया, जैसे डेली रूटीन था उसी हिसाब से बात किया, हम डेली बोलते थे वैसे तो.
As tensions escalate between the two countries after India's surgical strike on terror camps in POK, the worried family appealed to Modi Sarkar.
हम जैसे उधर पहुंचे तो डॉक्टर सुभाष भामरे जी है जो अपने स्टेट के ही है, स्टेट डिफेंस मिनिस्टर, उन्होंने ही पहले उनके नॉलेज में सब बातें बता दी थी, सब डाला था नॉलेज में, तो इसलिए हमें कुछ ज़्यादा बोलने की ज़रूरत ही नहीं थी. वो पहले ही उन्होंने ही बता दिया कि हमें पूरा मामला पता है. तो विदेश मंत्री सुषमा स्वराज जी ने बताया कि हमारी तरफ से जितना होता है उतना हम कोशिश कर रहे हैं बोला.
As news of Chandu inadvertently crossing the border reached his hometown, it hit his grandmother the hardest, and she passed away after a heart attack.
दादी का तो बहुत प्यार था, और जब ये बात दादी ने सुन ली तो उसका हार्ट अटैक ही आ गया.
Now the family refuses to perform the last rites of immersing his grandmother's ashes till Chandu returns home. Media reports have indicated that Chandu may be at the Pakistan Army headquarters in Nikyal, while Islamabad has confirmed that Chandu is in Pakistan custody. There is no confirmation yet on his whereabouts or status, and this has only added to his family's concerns. With Pankaj Khelkar in Pune, Bureau Report, India Today.
It's a big test for India's diplomatic maneuvering, and that will be on full display. So you'll have 10 heads of state and governments in Goa from tomorrow, the BRICS and the BIMSTEC summit. What is it that India is doing? India is getting all the developing economies together to kickstart, to rejuvenate the economic relationship between these countries, and also isolate Pakistan, move on with the BIMSTEC countries. So you have Bangladesh, India, Myanmar, Thailand, Sri Lanka, all these countries and Nepal, they come together. They talk about how do we take the economy of Southeast Asia forward. There is no Pakistan in BIMSTEC, there is no Pakistan in BRICS. India's extensively engaging with Afghanistan. So there is a new alliance in the making. Now China does support Pakistan, and that is where India's big test lies. How will India move forward? So Goa is a virtual fortress tonight. I filed this report a short while back. There will be more than 10 heads of state and government in Goa for the next 48 hours, and Goa has been turned into a virtual fortress. Apart from Goa police, there's the Karnataka and Maharashtra police anti-terror squads and anti-sabotage squads who have been deployed here. The threat of Pakistan-sponsored terror is immense, especially after SARC in Islamabad was cancelled. The Army, the Navy, the Air Force and the Coast Guard, they've all been deployed all along the Goa coast to ensure that this summit passes off peacefully and safely. With cameraman Kirpal Singh in Goa, Gaurav Savant for India Today. Now, how do you isolate Pakistan? That's the big question, especially with China supporting a state sponsor of terror. India will lay our cards on the table. The development of this region is very important. India and China have to move forward economically, not at the cost of terrorism that's sponsored by Pakistan. And China has been holding India back at multiple levels, whether it's Masood Azhar or several other aspects. Take a look at what India is planning, how India plans to engage with Russia, with China, with other powers. Maha Siddiqui with this report.
A month after openly indicting Pakistan and calling it a terror state, India is all set to go on the diplomatic offensive again. With 11 world and regional leaders gathering at Goa, there can't be a better opportunity. Russia, among other countries, has backed India's surgical strikes in POK and can be expected to second India during the summit too.
We have conveyed our concerns and views to the Russian side. Russia will reflect upon our concerns.
But China remains the #1 obstacle in India's path.
Whether terror is going to be the main focus of the meeting, that remains to be seen, especially when China has divergent views. It was certainly not in sync with India when it came to Masood Azhar, and it is certainly not in sync with India on many other issues.
The international pressure by India after Uri has shown results. US, for one, has been almost every day sending out a strong message to Islamabad.
To take steps to shut down access to areas inside their borders that to terrorist individuals and to terrorist groups.
Within Pakistan too, Nawaz is facing questions on why there's no action against Hafiz Saeed and Masood Azhar. In Goa, when Modi meets Putin, Xi Jinping and others, topmost on India's agenda will be to further isolate Pakistan. With Maha Siddiqui and Gaurav Sawant in Goa, Bureau Report, India Today.
The question that Chinese President Xi Jinping needs to answer is how long will China sponsor a state sponsor of terror, Pakistan? Because it's not just stalling India at the NSG, the Nuclear Suppliers Group. It's also the Masood Azhar case at the United Nations, the China-Pak Economic Corridor. And as Devina Gupta of India Today reports, China playing a spoil sport even at the BRICS trade fair. Take a look.
From a veto at the United Nations against Masood Azhar, water wars at Brahmaputra, blocking India's nuclear suppliers group bid, to an economic corridor in POK. China has dared India, and now China is arm twisting India at the BRICS summit too. Reflecting undercurrent of tensions between India and China, at 10:15 a.m. there was a session scheduled as country seminar which was called off by China at BRICS trade fair at the very last moment. Sources have told India today that it was cancelled because of India's hard stand in opposing the free trade area that China is demanding. So what China wants is a duty-free regime for BRICS nation. India not willing to cede the ground. So China adopting this arm twisting tactic to cancel the session. More importantly, ahead of BRICS summit, it's setting a very tough tone. But India has decided to call China's bluff and not yield under Chinese pressure tactics. It's sticking firm to send a message that it's in Beijing's interest to ensure that it maintains cordial ties with New Delhi if it needs market access in India.
India has a lot to gain from this partnership. I don't think there is a confrontation which is taking place. I think it's a collaborative effort which is taking place.
You know, these are not zero-sum games, and I think we have to work together to resolve infrastructure.
India continues to wield its trade card to make China fall in line and build a consensus with Brazil, Russia and South Africa on trade policies and its bigger diplomatic agenda to isolate Pakistan in the region.
We have very tight relations with India, especially in the military cooperation. So we are looking forward for the civil industrial cooperation like helicopter.
Economic cooperation is important at both BIMSTEC and BRICS. India's main focus will be to get international forces together to combat Pakistan-sponsored terror. The need is to isolate a state sponsor of terror. While China may be supporting Pakistan on several issues, India will call a spade and impress upon China the need to isolate Pakistan on terrorists like Masood Azhar and Pakistan-sponsored terror in India. With Kripal Singh in Goa, Gaurav Sawant for India Today. Now, BRICS is a very important summit. It's a very good opportunity for India to revive the relationship with Russia, a traditional strategic partner. And one good news story that is expected to emerge is the procurement of S-400 Triumph long-range air defense missile system. So that will be critical. 200 light helicopters. That's another good news story that may emerge. Talks are in very advanced stages, but that is not all. India is looking at a lot of defense equipment to procure from Russia, and there are multiple advantages. Not only will India and Russia once again come closer than what they were earlier, at the same time an arms race is something that Pakistan just cannot afford. So that is something that India is looking forward to. So India will be talking about the upgrade of 100 BMPs, that's infantry combat vehicles, night vision sights for our tanks and a lot of other equipment. Not everything will reach the final signing stage tomorrow, But the fact that President Putin and Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be meeting, there is some positive development that is expected. And Maha Siddiqui and I will continue to report and get you the latest from Goa. But that is all we have time for on this India First special from the BRICS and BIMSTEC Summit. Many thanks for watching. Rajdeep Sardesai comes up next with the news today. Game of Thrones, Goa, our top focus. Stay with us.